Tell us what you do to improve your technique.
We train, we practice, and we a lot of times had to just work things out ourselves. We always know that every time we kind of unlock something, there's probably another level above that that we don't know about because we're not trained dancers. When I say trained, I mean in the more commercial sense of the word. We are obviously trained in our styles, breaking, but we didn't go to school for those things. We just learned on our own. And so that approach is evident in our hustle. When we train, a lot of times it's like we're just kind of just in our bubble trying to figure things out. But I mean, we have had questions where we approached like OGs or people we've seen in videos, and we're like, or taking a private, we'll go and take a private from them and be like, just this one thing, I just need some key information about this because I feel like we have it or we understand, but I want to hear from you. I want to hear from someone else that we're clearly watching and admiring. And then sometimes technique we learn from people don't work, and it's just like maybe it's just us, and then we just try to make it work for our own selves, our bodies. Like everybody's body is different.
And 123 Studios. This is Mike Bello with a very cool pair of people. I love watching them dance. They're so hot, so cool. And they're from Canada, from Montreal. We got Julien and Taylor. How are you
Hey,
folks?
Mike.
Hey,
Hey,
we're
how
good.
you folks doing? Good?
We're good. Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
Sunday, so we're taking it chill at home today.
Yep.
Yeah.
As you can see, the sun is shining in, and we're just chilling.
Yeah, it's sunny over here too. You can't see it from the studio because I got the lighting and stuff like that. But it's a really nice day. And I don't know if it's like 30 degrees, 30 something degrees. It's
Well, we work in Celsius, so you lost us already.
Oh, so okay, yeah. It's like maybe I don't know. Celsius is like maybe I don't know.
3 degrees up here with the sun.
Oh, 3 degrees. Yeah.
But
Okay,
at
so it's
night,
cool.
that's 3 degrees Celsius, and at night it gets down to minus 15. Last night it was pretty cold, but that's Celsius
Okay.
again. So I'm just, you know.
Yeah, I'm lost too. Let's just say it's cold, right?
Yeah, people
It's
can use
cold.
their conversion table, and
Yeah. Not no more. When I was in the Air Force, we had to do that, but not no more. Okay, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna jump right in.
yes.
Both feet. Just feel as comfortable as you're gonna get. I know you're sipping on some good kind of fluids and stuff like that. So let's start with what is it about the hustle that drew you into the dance and made you stick with it?
You can go first.
You don't want to go first?
Yeah, you can go first.
So what made us stick to hustle? Or
Yeah, what drew you first? What drew you in and then made you stick to it?
I don't know if you know, but I started as a b-boy breaking, and I went to a lot of jams, battles, what have you, events for street dancers. And towards 2013, I started going to events that kind of put a lot of different styles together. Like, for example, they would call it either all styles event or simply a jam where there were a lot of different styles of dance, street dance styles they would have categories. So there was breaking, there was whacking, there was locking, there was popping, there was hip hop. One event in particular was Bust a Move, or BAM, which was a staple event in Montreal. It no longer exists, but it was like a really legendary event here. And I remember going there, and I saw after the event was done, and there was like an after party. I remember seeing a few street dancers, some of which I knew, some of which I didn't know, and they were dancing hands in hand. And I was like, oh, what is that? I didn't think much of it. I just looked at it and I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I left. And then there was another event with another after party where the after party was at a different venue, a little bar. And in that bar, they would create a cipher. A cipher would be like for dancers to go in and do their rounds, usually individual dancers. And at one point, two dancers went in, and actually a popper went in. He grabbed a girl, and they started doing hustle in the cipher. And then at the end of the round, they like pointed at two other dancers, and I was like, huh. And these two other dancers also like kind of responded, and they started dancing hustle. And I remember after that, I went up to one of them, Boom Beast. I went up to him and I was like, hey, what is that? He was like, hustle. And I was like, okay, cool. In my head, I was like, where do I learn? And at the time, people are Crazy Smooth. Yvon, he started teaching hustle classes in Montreal. And that's kind of how I just kind of found out about those classes. And then I just, which started around the same time, 2013-ish. And then I just started going to the classes to learn and didn't stop.
What
And
made
what
you
made
stick to it?
Yes.
Well, what made me stick to it?
Poke him in the ribs with that elbow. Yes.
What made me stick to it is that I think it's when we started traveling and going to New York and learning a lot more than ever we had. We learned so much, and we also learned that we didn't know anything. We learned that we were missing so much information and that there was this huge mountain in front of us of like knowledge. And we were like, okay, we're going to have to come back here more than twice, And so
What year was that? 10 year?
the first year that we went, it was with MSSD, but 2015 was the first time we went to New York for Taylor and I for the purpose of actually going and finding out about more hustle.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we only knew about, was it Stepping Out? The old Stepping Out. It's like a huge room and there was like pillars, I think.
Right.
And I know that Lorianne was teaching. I think she's still teaching, obviously. And
Right. Greenhouse Rocher.
yes,
Yeah.
that's right. And we just went into her weekly class in 2015, and we just showed up, like took our weekly class, and then there was I think later that night there was a social. Not a lot of folks were there, but I think I remember Jamie was there. Jamie Cerna, Cindy was there. Domingo was there. We remember those names specifically because it's like they're the ones that gave us almost like our first dance in New York,
Wow. Yes.
So that was 2015. And we were traveling with friends actually for another street dance event, but we specifically made time to go and check out the hustle. And then when we went back home, we were like, hey, we need to do more trips, and it's just going to be us, and it's just going to be hustle focused. So we had to find out more people, we need to know more people, and yeah, so we went back in 2016, we went back 2017 to 18,
And now we're there almost every year.
Right. But that's wonderful. That's wonderful. And you did.
So I think what made me stick to it really is, I could say, the people that we met on our travels, the relationships that we kind of grew at home as well as away from home.
Right.
And without a doubt, the music. The music is, I just found out that I really freaking loved hustle music. Disco, house, I just fell in love with it. And I still absolutely love it. So that's really what made me stick to it.
And you, Taylor? What was your beginning? The same as Julien, or was it different?
Well, I started out around, I think, 2013, 2014, getting into whacking. And at that time, that community played a lot of disco. And I fell in love with the music. And at first I wasn't sure what hustle music was. I did hustle, I took classes also with Smooth. Then over time, as we went to New York more and more, it's the music that drew me in, because there's this, I don't know, I love the high energy music that we get, especially in New York. So that's what drew me in. But also I was at a point, I think in my life, I was trying to find a partner dance that I could do that could dance to music that I like, or that I can relate to. So that's kind of what drew me in. And I think it's pretty similar with Julien, is like why I stuck with it is there's just so much more to learn, I feel. And like we've been doing this for 10 years now.
Yep.
And I still think there's still so much to learn just within the world of hustle.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then also the relationships we've built. Like we've met some really amazing people throughout our hustle journey, locally and also like internationally. And I think it's like such a beautiful thing to be able to make connections with people you don't know and then be able to communicate with each other too. Like even if you don't really always speak the same language, but if you dance the same dance, it's a way of communication as well. And so, yeah, I think that's what's making me stick to it.
It's wonderful to hear, especially when you mention about connecting with people through the language of dance. You have kind of that connection in the solo dancing arena.
Yeah.
But in a different way, right? Because you have people who are just looking at each other unless you're kind of battling each other, right? But when you're in a partner dance, that's a whole other thing. And you can still get that same adoration or that same look of joy from other people when you're dancing with a partner. But that togetherness speaks more volumes than if you were dancing solo.
I mean, it's very different. I think the way to connect as a solo dancer versus in a partner dance, it's a whole other element to think about, because you're touching another person. I don't know if I would say...
Yeah, as a rule in street dance, it's almost like no touching. Touching someone is usually a sign of aggression or is frowned upon. Usually, at least in the breaking world.
You mentioned your local dance community. How has that changed since you started getting into hustle?
Oh, I think it's it has its ups and downs.
At first, like a lot of it was street dance or street dancers coming in. And then I think now it's kind of, obviously the pandemic happened and like that really put a dent everywhere, essentially, communities and all that. So after the pandemic, we kind of just restarted our thing with hustle in Montreal and slowly rebuilding. And we decided not to only cater to or try to get our street dance friends to come, but like anyone, because we were like going to New York and we were like, hustlers are not necessarily street dancers. So it's people of all ages and from all walks of life. So we were like, it's just hustle for anyone that wants to come. So I think we had connection with our old student club and our university. So we were like pulling people from there, and then some people from the street dance community, but also some people just kind of found us. And that's really cool because they just found us and they're like part of this.
Taylor, what would you say is the way that you've been reaching out for people to see, know, and like you both, as hustlers?
Oh man. Well, I think our generation uses social media a lot, right? So we try to, I guess, online portray what we like about the dance. And it's, once it's shared online, people come across it, and maybe they'll find us if they live in the city. And if not, we've been traveling a little bit for competitions and going to events and whatnot. So that's also another way, to try and get people to know about hustle. Obviously, in comparison to New York, I think people know about hustle, but it's not like as big of a thing in comparison to what you have or what New York is, like the community and how big the scene is. Yeah, what else do we do?
Yeah, it's pretty spot on.
Yeah.
And social media, playing the algorithms. No, we don't really do that. People still do. Do you still do hashtags? I don't even know. I still do it. I don't even know if there's a point. I don't even know if I'm doing it for no reason anymore.
Yeah, hashtags still work. I mean, there are other means too. But yeah, you're in that age, and not biological age, but in this age of, the internet. And so probably the biggest platform is IG. Instagram is the way to go for what we're doing right now. I mean, Facebook does
Mm-hmm.
too. I mean, for me, Facebook works better for me in some ways than
Mm.
Instagram.
Yeah, I think it
But you got
depends
to
on
use.
the. Sorry, go ahead.
No,
Finish
no, no. I was
your.
just gonna say that you just have to use the platforms that are available. But
Yeah.
continue.
Yeah, no, I think for us, we've noticed that some of the, I guess, the older folks that are here prefer Facebook. So like, we use both to try and attract different ages too and different generations.
I think different generations almost use different platforms.
Right.
Broadly speaking, we're not generalizing. Like once you're past 40, you're on Facebook. Like no, it's like
Yeah. No, but it's
it's
safe
like
to say that there is kind of a line that goes
Mm-hmm.
from when it comes to social
yeah,
media. There is a
yeah.
line where people go, well, I prefer IG over Facebook for this. Well, I prefer Facebook over IG for that, and or some people go, I use both, but
Mm-hmm.
people tend to lean towards one platform, as opposed to the
Yeah,
other,
Yeah,
especially when they
for
want to get.
sure.
Instagram is very visual. It's mostly a visual thing, right? So,
Yeah.
photos, especially videos, really go
yeah.
over big time on Instagram than they do on Facebook. But I think Facebook has the lion's share of, even though they're owned by the same people, I think Facebook has the lion's share of eyeballs in
Mm-hmm.
general. I think that more people like what's going on in Instagram, and it mirrors more so TikTok and all that, right? So
Yeah.
it has that appeal. But
Mm.
things are
Yeah.
changing in that regard too, and so we have to learn how to adjust to that so that we can get the word out, right? I mean,
Yeah.
because that's the idea. In your case, you're not just dancers, but you're also responsible for a community, however small. You're still responsible to that and to grow that community, and
Yeah.
which I love because we need to ensure that hustle continues to grow. And it doesn't only mean the growth of younger people, it's the growth of all people.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of folks coming to hustle for the first time and they're in their 40s, 50s, and 60s
Yeah.
for whatever reason. They lived their life and now they have time to do that, or they were coming from another dance and now they discovered hustle and things like
Mm-hmm.
that. So there's a lot to be said about how we reach out to them, right, and draw
Yeah.
them into this beautiful world of dance and music and
Yeah.
togetherness.
Well, I
So
mean, we use Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and honestly, I think that the work that you've been doing, especially on YouTube and 123 channel, is like super important.
Mhm.
Like everybody's on YouTube, but not only that, but it's like you're creating almost like a library of just like these videos that are going to hopefully stay there for a long, long time for a lot of people in the future to go back to and watch and just enjoy to see like, oh wow, this is hustle, so I've told you this in person, Mike, so I'm a huge fan of your work and what you've done, so that's really
take
important.
yeah, I appreciate you saying that. On my end, just briefly, I just want to help grow, the community. That's my biggest thing. I fell
I
back in
hope.
love with it, and maybe Yolanda suggested, well, next year we should interview you. So we'll see. We'll see what happens next year. So listen, changing
um,
gears here. Tell us what you do to improve your technique.
oh, what do we do to improve our technique?
Yes.
So we have to spill the secret sauce.
Yes. Yes.
Well,
Yes.
first you got to be Canadian.
Particularly
Second,
for myself, right?
you got to speak French. Man, what do we do to improve our technique? It's a very precise question. Like, I don't think we do anything in particular to improve our technique besides we train, we practice, and we a lot of times had to just work things out ourselves, just figure things out. And we always know that every time we kind of unlock something, or like there's probably another level above that we don't know about because we're not trained dancers. When I say trained, I mean like, I guess in the more like commercial sense of the word, like we are obviously trained in our styles breaking, but we didn't go to school for those things. We just learned on our own. And so that approach is evident in our hustle. When we train, a lot of times it's like we're just kind of just in our bubble trying to figure things out. But I mean, we have had questions where we approached like OGs or people we've seen in videos, and we're like, or taking a private, we'll go and take a private from them and be like, you know, just this one thing, like, I just need some key information about this. Cause we're always like, I feel like we have it or we understand, but I want to hear from you. You know, I want to hear from someone else that we're clearly watching and admiring. And then sometimes the technique we learn from people don't work, and it's just like maybe it's just us, and then we just try to make it work for our own selves, our bodies. Like, everybody's body is different, and I kind of try to accept that as well when we train, and also what feels good. So if a movement feels kind of awkward, we're gonna try to tweak it until it feels not awkward and feels actually natural and good. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, there's also like we've been lucky that we've been able to go to New York many times and dance with high-level hustle dancers and the OGs. And so for me as a follower, I remember the feeling of what it feels like. So then when we come home and train and we try stuff or we're just dancing a song, sometimes we'll like work it out. It's like, you know what? This doesn't feel right, or this feels too strong. Like the signal was off. So we tweak with, I guess, through memory of how
and feeling. Like we ask each other, like, well, how was that? Like, was this weird? Was this good? And it's like, I guess we just kind of ask each other. That's why we listen to each other.
Yeah, it's good that you consult each other. Like, you critique each other because you know how good it feels individually.
Well, Mike, we learned not to critique each other too much, because that leads to too many arguments. And so then it's just like, you just share our feelings, you know? Yeah, for me, keep this relationship healthy, you know, we just, because you're not protecting things.
Like, okay, that's enough.
Well, not protect, we're sure.
Do you also take time to either record yourselves, to critique yourselves, or look at recordings because other people record you? You look at those to just go, oh man, I love the way I did that. I never done that before. Or man, I gotta fix that.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, proof of that is if you go on our Instagram page, there's like, I think there's like these little bubbles of highlights, and we have one where we just call it work, and essentially that's practice, and that's us filming ourselves. And the clips you see are like the clips where like, oh, this could be fun to share, but like there's obviously 1,000 other videos and hours of practice behind all of it. But sometimes we want to know what it looks like, and just go from there. But we tend to trust our feelings a lot more than the looks. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like if something feels right, we're like, oh, we're keeping that.
Yeah, or if it feels right and then we film it and then it's like, something just needs to change, we tweak it, but then we try to keep the feeling of it. So yeah, definitely filming ourselves is one of the tools that we use.
Do you have role models in the dance, and how do they influence you directly or indirectly?
Well, I guess when we started, we used YouTube as our source of inspiration. And so for me as a follow, whatever video, like before I went to 3 started, there was like not a lot of hustle videos online. So you really had to dig to find some of them. And so I think back then, if I want to say role models or who inspired me to try things or keep pushing would have been Maria Torres and Diane Nardone, because they both had videos online. There were like a few, not many, but there were some pretty impressive ones that even now sometimes I go back and I rewatch and I slow it down and I rewatch just to look at what they were doing. So yeah, I think the two of them were definitely some of the more influential inspirations for me as a follower.
Role models is a heavy word. I would say, to answer your question, in the same kind of way that Taylor did in terms of leaders or leads. I kind of say this to a lot of people too, and I'm like, if you go to New York, you have to dance with Boots, with John Boots. And I kind of say this to people, and I say, I kind of use Boots as the reference point for a good lead. It's like impossible to have a dance with Boots.
Right.
And yeah, and so in terms of a role model, for me, Boots represents the ultimate lead. Very clear, very thoughtful, cares about how
Takes care of the fall.
takes care of the follow. It's and it's like everybody loves to dance with Boots. I like following Boots. And so that's a point of reference that I use even to people that I teach. And if whether they're follows or leads, they're like, go and dance with Boots and try to find that feeling and understand it. And I always try to, when I try a new move, I'm like almost like what would Boots do? You know, like how would this make sense? You know, so
Yeah.
for me, he's played a big role in what it means to be a good lead, to be, but not just in terms of movement, but also in how you carry yourself. And just the way that he just enjoys the dance. Like he just loves it so much. You can see it, and it's like infectious. And I get that feeling too. And I am also very passionate about hustle, so I really like it. Another person I never got to meet was Artie Phillips, which I wish I could have met. But from the videos I've seen, I can see that joy as well, you know? And I've only heard great things about Artie. And so I'm really sad that we never got to meet him. But in terms of the joy that I see from people dancing hustle, to me, that's what I use as a role model. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And Diane K. Nardone has played a big role in kind of like educating us as well in a lot of different ways. And yeah, so I think
So there Alex too.
yeah.
Alex
Kim?
Kim. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Alex at the beginning was like, at least for me, was like a huge inspiration because when I saw well, you probably know the clip, like Alex Kim dancing with Alian Ramirez. Yeah, it has like so many views. It's one of the most popular hustle videos out there. I think it's like 14 years old or something, but it's so nice. And I remember watching it and being like, oh my God, Alex is so creative. Like he had patterns that I'd never seen before. And I thought like, for me, when I started hustle, he played a big role in terms of inspiration for the dance, for being creative and finding new ways to do things. And also like he came to Montreal very early on in our journey in 2016, I think.
Yeah.
Smooth brought him to Montreal. So I think he was like the first OG we actually met, and we were like almost starstruck, you know, when we met him. And he was just like treating us like friends, and I was like, "Well, this is crazy," because I thought this guy was like a superstar on YouTube, and you know, and but then he came to Montreal, and it was very important for us because I remember there was a clip we posted online, and I think Alex commented on it, and he just like said like, "Oh, something nice," you know, like a compliment, and I was like, "Oh my God!" Like he saw me dance and he says it looks good, kind of. And
What year was it?
This was 2016.
Yeah, 2016.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then yeah, so he came to Montreal and he had this he wanted to teach us and he wanted to help us out, and he did. And it was 2015 because I had my appendicitis.
Oh yes.
So that was even earlier, 2015. Yeah, I remember I had how I remember it because I had my appendicitis. So my appendix burst, and I was like out of commission for like months, could barely walk. But at that same time, Alex came to town, and I was like, "What the hell? Like, I can't miss this." So I literally went to that class, and I think it was a private class.
As well.
With like I was like hooked up to like this thing that I couldn't come. Like I could barely stand straight, but I was like, "What I want to learn," you know. Like I was in bad shape, and obviously he danced mostly with Taylor in our like private lesson, and but I still learned so much, and I was very grateful. I don't regret that, you know. But Yeah, that was
Wow.
2015.
Yeah.
So
That's a good story.
yeah, we can't forget about the role that Alex played in the beginning of our hustle journey.
Mhm.
Nice.
And then some. We've seen him in Asia as well. And yeah, like Alex got some moves, and I still watch events, and I'm like, still got the moves, and
He ain't going nowhere either. So that's
yeah,
that's a
I
good
th-
thing.
I know that some of the moves that I've tried to like, I don't think there's anything new under the sun, but like some moves that I've tried to like create are also inspired from by him, and like I would take a move and then like flip it, because that's kind of like how we approach dancing and being original in street dance. We try
Right.
to you want to express yourself, you want to show who you are and your ideas, but a lot of times you can see an inspiration or see a movement that inspires you, and then you can be like, well, I'm going to do it this way, and then it becomes another move. And so that's how we create new movements, and then it's like really fun because everybody can put their own spin on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right. Right. I was looking last night. I was looking at your IG videos and also Facebook, and noticed that they basically started around 2018, and I have a couple questions about that. But one of the questions really goes back to what I had thought about you, Taylor, some time ago, because you remind me of another dancer, and I wonder if she had any influence on you, or if this is just a coincidental or whatever, because of how first entered hustle. But Ali,
Oh, Ali,
Alessandro.
Alessandra.
yeah,
Yeah.
Marconi,
Yeah.
right? I saw it. I didn't see her dancing. I just saw her in a shot with you and with you two. I think Abdiel was there as well, and one of the people.
Yeah, that was
And
the
to
first
me,
Makosa hustle.
say that again.
That was it's probably the first Makosa hustle, I think, at
Oh,
in
Makosa,
Montreal
right?
Yeah.
that smoothed through. I think it was in 2018. I think.
Yeah. 2017,
Somewhere around there.
2018.
Yeah.
2019. It's when I
Yes.
saw the photo. Right? But I had always thought that you have a similar style like Ali. And I wonder if if that ever crossed your mind, or if that had any influence in your dancing or not.
I would say so. Yeah, like I've seen her around, and she's come here to Montreal, and I've seen her in New York.
Mhm.
She's a great dancer overall, not just in hustle. I think, yeah, definitely has played a role. Like I'm a person that when I see things, I will absorb it, and whether I consciously process it or not, I think sometimes it comes out of my body when I dance. So for sure, she's played an influence, and maybe how I look in a certain way when I'm dancing too.
I think, because I feel like it's like so many people.
Yeah.
Because we've watched so many people.
Well, that's
Yeah,
cool.
but when
Like
I
that
look
you
at
say that.
when I look at anyone as far as followers, whatever, that's the person that I feel that you are most similar to.
Interesting.
Interesting.
I mean,
Well, yeah, it's interesting.
I've always felt that. Like from the first time I saw you dancing, that the way that you approach, it's not flamboyant. It's very
Ooh, I know
kind
why.
of very personal, very live.
I know why.
And when I first saw her dancing, the first time I saw her dancing was at a Central Park event. I didn't even know who she was, and it immediately caught my eye. Although it's not flamboyant, there's a sensuality in the dance, in the way she's dancing, that's not sexual or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's just her movement is kind of subtle, but the subtlety, what speaks volumes.
Can I say something?
Really.
Like to me, it's very important. I think I know why you see the similarities, and I don't know Ali as well as I wish I did, but I think I know that Ali learned from Diane, and Taylor also learned from Diane. We learned from Diane, and I know for a fact that we've tried to emulate the way that Diane has presented herself on the dance floor, on the videos that we've seen, because of the exact same reason that you said just now. There was like just the way that she carried herself was just something that we hadn't seen before.
Yes.
And I think there's a lot of people that learn from Diane, and that we're always going to mention her in our journey. She's played such a huge role, and I think that everybody should learn from Diane.
Yeah.
Among like everybody should learn from everybody, but obviously I like Diane. I like her style. I love her style. I've always loved it, and I like the way she teaches. I really do. I think she's a good educator.
Thanks, Mike. I appreciate that compliment. Actually, that speaks a lot to me, because that's also something I'm trying to, I guess, portray in my dance too. Like, I think that one of the reasons why hustle speaks to me as a partner dance is I don't feel like the female is sexualized or has to be sexy, and I can still, I can be sensual and be in my female body the way I want to show it as. And I think that's quite powerful. So I think that's another reason why, you know, hustle is the dance that speaks to me.
Yeah, those are good words. Yeah, and I'm glad you said it that way. I want to circle back a little bit on, again, I was, watching your videos last night because, I'm trying to get to know you guys a little bit more.
Hey, it's all good. You can watch them all the time. You can give up more view counts,
Oh, thank you. Yes, I'll continue doing that. And I noticed earlier on, and of course, at that point, I didn't know when you got started. I'm like, well, they couldn't have started in 2018 because, they don't look like crap. They look pretty decent. But, so yeah, that's I'm trying to figure out like how much sooner before that, but we already covered that. But I noticed at least through the 2018 videos and about midway through the 2019 videos that you both were wearing sneakers. Like it was all sneakers. So, and I'm like, when does it change? When does it change? When is it? And then somewhere around June, whatever, July, somewhere around the summertime, I noticed you, Taylor, you had, you had dance shoes on, you had, heels on, the low heels, but they were, and then later that year too, Julien, you were wearing dance shoes. And there's a specific difference in look when you wear the shoes that are appropriate to the genre.
Yeah.
Especially for women. More so for women than for men. I mean, that's not to take away anything from followers who dance in low, in low shoes, non-heel shoes. But once you put the heels on, you look like a different dancer.
Well, I stand different. I stand differently, right? The heels make you hold your posture different.
Right. Because the dance is dance on the front part of the foot. Rarely does the heel come in contact, to the ground. And when you step on your heel, it changes your energy. It changes the way it looks. It kind of loses some of the sensuality unless you really are a dancer, and you can pick that even in low cut shoes. And so it improves that look. So what made you change that in 2018? Or is it everything I just covered?
I'll just say something, because you said you noticed when we changed, but I bet what you did not notice is that within the last year before we switched to indoor dance shoes, professional dance shoes, is that the sneakers we were wearing were actually shaved at the bottom, and then we put, I think it was like some suede or something, but we made it so that we could turn on our sneakers, and I bet you didn't notice. But also we wore sneakers because a lot of times we would practice outdoors. We would dance outdoors, and so like outdoor sessions, that was our main thing. Obviously in winter it was a little harder, but we still danced in sneakers inside. Then we switched to like these sneakers that we shaved off, and then we started getting sick of wrecking our knees. So we were like, yeah, time to invest in some dance shoes. And once we went to that, we were like, we're never going back, because now we can dance forever. We don't feel tired. I can turn without effort. It just feels good.
And I think turning is a big part of it. The more we, I guess, dance, tussle more and more, the more we liked turning. Or at least I like being turned. And so like wearing sneakers isn't cutting it, and I need that glide. I need to be able to pivot on the balls of my feet. So yeah, It was the switch just
I mean,
happened naturally.
dance sneakers do that too. I mean, you can do that in dance sneakers, but that's something to be said about, especially for fellas who wear or women who wear heeled dance shoes.
Yeah.
I think the main reason really is because we were like, wow, we can dance so much. It's so much easier and we can dance much longer, which was very important for us because we were like seeing the OGs going to New York, seeing the OGs dance until like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. We're like, how the hell are they doing this? We're like 30 years younger and we can't keep up. And I'm pretty sure that what the shoes we wear, it makes a difference. And it sure did, because it's important for us to be able to dance the entire night, and that allows us to do this without injury.
Yeah. But also, I think I do like the heels. I do like wearing the heels because it puts my weight just a little bit more forward. And especially on songs that maybe are a little faster, it really helps with my weight transfer, that I don't take too much energy sitting back, transferring that energy and bringing myself back forward. So yeah, there's also that I now prefer dancing in heels over sneakers.
Nice. I've personally seen you both, of course, at the New York, New Jersey, the LA, and the Miami weekend events. Are there others that you plan to attend, teach, and compete at?
Well, we're heading to Billy Farrado's event
Miami.
in August.
Yeah.
I couldn't make it last year. Taylor went. I couldn't make it, but we're gonna be there.
Yeah.
We should both be there this year. That's what we have planned. And honestly, sometimes our plans are really like last minute.
Okay.
Like Lori's first New Jersey Hustle Congress, we decided to go like 2 weeks before.
Yeah.
It was like it was like our Christmas gift to ourselves. We were like, let's go. And it was a crazy weekend. Like, we stayed in New Jersey for like 40 hours, and that was it. But we don't regret it. It was so fun, so much fun, and we really enjoyed it again this year. The New Jersey Hustle Congress this year, it was amazing. I hope that Larry keeps going, and obviously the New York Hustle Congress as well, which I think is happening. I don't know yet exact details, but we'll probably try to go because we try to make it to New York at least once a year. Yeah. So yeah, and
well, those are like not home events. I think home events we have our social that we're planning coming up.
Hustle Nights,
March 23rd. March 23rd, right?
Yeah, depending on when this goes live, might be after, but March 23rd is our next event. It's Hustle Nights. It's essentially going to be the 8th edition. We started this in 2021, I think.
2020.
Just small community events for the community. Sorry?
Post-COVID, yeah.
Post-COVID. Post-COVID, exactly.
Yeah.
And so we focus on that. There's going to be Montreal Salsa Convention.
Yeah. Which is not our event.
Which is not our event, but it doesn't matter because we're going to be there, and Mike's going to be there, and Jamal's going to be there, and a lot of people are coming, and it's going to be really fun, and it's happening, I think, the long weekend in May 18, 19, 20, I think.
Yeah.
And there's going to be 2 social nights.
Right.
Yeah. So we're really excited about that because that's the first time that there's going to be hustle at this, like, a big event like this in our hometown that we're not organizing. Thank God. Like, I'm happy that I don't have to organize this. I can just show up, and dance. And so I'm super happy about this. And we're really grateful that the organizer, Sonia, has reached out to us and like, we were like, yeah, let's do it. This is so exciting. And thanks to you too, Mike, because I know that you know her. And then it was like, just, these connections that we make, you never know, what can happen. And sometimes it's just like the stars align and it's just things happen and you keep the ball rolling. And it's like, honestly, really grateful. We hope that we get to experience more events too this year, next year. I think we're planning to go to Asia a little bit.
Good.
Yeah. Well, Taylor's family is in Asia.
My family lives in Hong Kong still. So So yeah, I go back once in a while to go see them. Yeah.
Nice.
So if we can pair, visiting some hustle communities in Asia, as well as making sure that we go and visit Taylor's family, then it's like, for sure, we're doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got to do that, right?
Yep.
You can't go. All of a sudden, you were here and you didn't come to visit.
Yeah.
You're off my will. Sorry. Goodbye. You know, yeah, like, yeah, you can't do that. But, like, with competitions, because I know that I've seen you at a couple of the weekender event competitions and all that. And have you considered the summit? Do you know about it, or
Yeah.
does that you? Is it more because you just want to be at these events and you go, oh, we may as well just compete, or like what is competitions for you in that regard? Is it just to, shits and giggles, or is it like is there a focus?
I think that having some kind of knowing who's throwing the event, getting to know the organizers plays a big role, and also the where it's happening. I don't want to name names, but I'll say, who doesn't want to go to Miami? It's like you're near the beach. Of course you want to go there, and we love the beach.
So it's a destination for you.
Yeah, and like we live in Montreal. We have like 5 months of winter. It gets sometimes we're like, Taylor really is like, I need to go to the beach right now.
Get me
But unfortunately, we don't get as many chances to do that. But if we can do it and pair it with like hustle, then yeah, we're gonna do that. I know some events have like in the hotels and there's like pools, and that's cool too. As long as it's nice, as long as it's good weather. But you don't control the weather, So I think we've tried to hit up every event at least once. Like we've been to Disco America, we've been to LA, Hustle Congress, obviously New York, New Jersey. We've been to Miami before, in 2018. 2017. And am I forgetting some? Yes, we wish, hopefully we go to Tri-State as well. We didn't do that yet.
Disco America too.
Well, we went to Disco America, but right. we could go again. We didn't go to SDA, I think Swing Dance America, even though there's swing in it. I think that there's a large portion of it that's dedicated to hustle. So these are things that we always want to like kind of cross it off our list.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, I'll swing back to like the competition aspect of it too. I think at first we saw competition as a way to, I can maybe tell people is like, hey, we're here, or like we want to be part of this community, and then eventually it became we were that way. I don't know, this for me. Maybe.
We want to be part of it. Hey,
and
give us a space.
And then we were doing amateur at that time. And I think also at the same time, we're like, you know what? We want to try dancing with the pros. So we did Pro and Jack and Jill's as well.
Yes.
And I remember there were like 2 times I did a competition with the pro. And I was like, I think Julien could be better with this guy. And so we kind of eventually made it a thing to like, you know what, let's try and work our way up so we can, compete with the pros and really see where our skill level is at and where our dancing is at.
It was a way to test ourselves because a lot of it comes from the street dance mentality. I come back to it a lot, but it's part of my journey and it's part of my growth. Sure. But like a lot of it is like you enter a battle and it's you want to go against the best because you want to test yourself. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't care if I lose in the semifinals or even the top 16. I don't care if I battled somebody that like smoked me. Then I'm like, it's a learning experience, and I can be like, yeah, I stood my ground against this person. Maybe I lost, but whatever. It's like, it really tests you. And it's like, when we started going to the events, we saw like amateur pros, the separation between the two. And I was like, we didn't understand it at first. Now, obviously we do. And there's a reason for them, but we still wanted to just, we wanted to dance with the best and we wanted to test ourselves with the pros. And our first, we really love to do pro-ams. Like Jack and Jill pro-ams was like our favorite thing in like the first few events that we've been to. Because we were like not dancing together because obviously we were both the amateurs. But like, I remember, I think the first year we did, I think I got paired with Veronica and you got paired with Alex, I think.
I think so.
And we both, because we were dancing with these amazing dancers who we look up to, we got first place, but we were like, I'm always gonna remember that. I was like, oh my god, I'm in front of Veronica. You know, they would do the numbers, and then it's like follows turn 4 numbers, and then Veronica would stand in front of me. I'd be like, oh my god, and then she just went like, I'm a spinner. You can spin me. And I remember I did not spin her once because at that time I didn't even know how to lead multiple turns. And I was so nervous, and I remember that. I'll remember that forever. So shout out to Veronica for that.
Yay. What about Pro? I mean, because you guys qualify for Pro now, right? So
yeah,
what about the Pro Jack and Jills?
there's not many of that happening. Actually, we were hoping that Pro Jack and Jill would happen more. And I would want to do Pro Am Jack and Jill, and I guess now it would be considered pro and ends with as an amateur, but I would love to do that. But for some reason, I don't think I've noticed it in many competitions lately.
Many
which
Miami, I think New York had Pro.
there
I think
there were pro showcases where the pros, I think it was staff. Yeah, I think that's what it was. I think staff were doing
the Jack and
Jill, but since we're not a staff, we couldn't do it. But there used to be like I think just pro Jack and Jill and Pro Am Jack and Jill, which as a pro you could just sign up, and that's our favorite category besides I guess dancing together as like the just hustle pro, so we can like show what we got, show what we've been working on. But we really like the Jack and Jills because, and this goes back to I guess the way we approach the dance is that if you can't dance with everybody, you got to go back to the drawing board. You know what I mean? So Jack and Jill is the method, is the test. You know, you go out there, you compete, and you don't know who you get, and it doesn't matter, and you have to kill it. So you better work on your signals, and you better make sure you're smooth, because otherwise, you're
not going to be up there. Have you guys considered costuming?
What do you mean by costuming?
I know your costume. Your costume is a t-shirt and your costume.
You mean like?
I'm just wondering. There's no judgment on my end. I'm just wondering. Have you considered that, especially if you two go up in a professional, competition, the two of you together? Have you considered that?
So there's, I guess we have to spill the beans, right? Well, Mike, at heart, we are street dancers, and we're going to represent ourselves the way that we want to represent ourselves. And if it comes a time where I guess putting a different type of attire comes up, then we might. But I think for now, we just like to be kind of true to ourselves and just present ourselves the way that we feel good.
Can I ask the question? Is costuming a thing in the pro category? Because I know that other pros do have outfits.
Yes, it is. There's a criteria for judging that. So we're always going to be at 0, but that's okay. Because if we have 10 and 100% in all of the other categories, maybe one day we'll be at the top. It's okay, though.
There's costuming and there's costuming, and there's a way that you can still be true to yourself and still have a costume. But I'm not doing this to influence you either way. I just wondered if people would wonder if they're watching you on videos and they ever wondered. Your response is a good one. You're representing you and the street culture, and
we represent our history. We represent our journey and our growth.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But remember that when you go into a competition, especially where they're going to be shelling out money, that you have to look the part. So you don't have to be like Disco Dan, but you can still look like Julien in a costume that represents you. And I'm just out there.
I think that's gonna eventually come at some point. We're still I think figuring things out too in terms of how we want to represent ourselves, like outfit wise. We're still toying around with different ideas and thoughts, and maybe it will take, like, I feel like right now when I enter pro competition, or when we enter pro competitions, we try to dress nicer than we usually.
But also for us, we're a costume. You know what I mean?
Right,
But
right.
but
Yeah,
also,
in my brain, I'm seeing that too.
yeah. But also,
But
I think it's important to mention that Taylor and I are not shoppers. We don't
Yeah.
shop a lot,
We're
and
not
even like our daily outfits, like maybe this will come as a surprise to some people, but like, yeah, we're not like, I think fashion is just not something we're super into, but I can totally understand why some people are. And maybe one day I will get into more interested in fashion, right? But it's just in term, like, I don't want to say that if you're in fashion, you shop. It's like, it's more like, not only are we not so much into fashion, but we're also not we're not shoppers. That's also why we could afford all those trips. You know what I mean?
right, right. Well,
Yeah.
just to put a cap on this, if you do and when you do decide to get into some type of costuming or whatever, and you're not sure, you can always consult. There are a lot of people out there that you can
Yeah.
talk with that
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
actually you to get something that is affordable, tasty,
Mm.
and fits right into what you're doing.
Yeah.
So
You just gave me an idea. So anybody watching this, if you got some costume you want to get rid of, secondhand, it's very good to reuse,
that's right.
upcycle, recycle. Hit us
It could
up.
happen.
We may or may not use it.
It'd be like, right.
Hey, it's worth a
Oh, that
shot.
was a nice idea.
I feel like maybe events could do that now. Maybe it's like, like secondhand costumes that people want to donate or like, give out for like $1 or $2 and for other people to could be like we're into that stuff, like we go secondhand shopping all the time.
Oh, well, then you got to talk with Yolanda because Yolanda is a thrifter. Yolanda,
Oh, there we go.
Yolanda knows. I mean, Yolanda. Every time I tell her, you know how much this was? $5. How much was that?
That's
Five. And Yolanda, the girl can throw down some outfits.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Most of that stuff did not. And her entire, like ensemble is like maybe $35.
Wow.
That's
So
true.
yeah, if you talk to Yolanda, she's even in costume, talk with her.
Yeah.
She'll
Okay.
get you.
Well, we've got some pretty heavy thrifters in our friends group too, so it's like
Okay.
we're well surrounded. It's just
Okay,
that
that's
we lack the motivation to go out and shop sometimes.
I know how that feels, and not just in that, but in other areas too. Listen, let's move on. What is the biggest lesson you've learned or acquired in your hustle growth?
Whoa. I think
Go ahead.
I think there's more to. One of them is there's more than you see than like what's the phrase? More than
Meets the eye.
meets the eye, whether it's the person or whether it's the dance. Like like I said earlier, I feel like there's still so much to discover. And like on first glimpse, you might think, oh, hustle is easy or hustle is like just this. But the more you do it, the more you learn and the more you discover.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that goes for people too. You see people dancing and you have gatherings or socials or parties and you dance with them. They might be one person on the dance floor, but maybe in their life, there's other things going on and they're a person. They're not just a dancer is what I'm trying to get at. And I think that's like one thing I try to keep as well. Like, sometimes, when you have a bad dance on the dance floor, maybe it's not hit. I mean, it's not them. It's not you. Maybe it's a bad day or maybe it's the music. Who knows? But it's still like you still had a dance and you can enjoy that time that you spent together on the dance floor is probably what I'm taking away from that event.
I'm not sure how to answer, but I would say like one lesson that I'm still working on is, but that's been important is, it's not about yourself. It's not just about you. You're dancing with someone. It's a partner dance, a social dance. Not only are you dancing with someone, but you're part of a collective vibe environment, especially at socials. You're part of a group. So it's not just about you. And it's about, for me, it's about the community. And when I'm dancing with somebody or someone's, because I do like to practice my double leading, it's not just about you. It's about your partner, how they feel. Are they comfortable? I want people to have fun on the dance floor. I want people to be comfortable. I think that saying it's not about you is that when you're dancing and you only care about yourself, I think it shows. And I don't think it's fun for the person you're dancing with. So I try as best I can to make sure that the person I dance with is having a good time. That's my first concern, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. And it's a good takeaway too, especially when you're dancing for a while. Because initially, when you first get in, it is all about you, right? Because you're all, you're trying to learn, you're trying to have
Yeah.
a great time, but you're trying to really get that feel and
Mhm.
but this particular dance, you want to be representative of it, right? And then after a while, once you settle in, you realize that it isn't just you, right? That you are working with someone, regardless of the role that you're
Yeah.
in, whether you're following. It is about that other person, and so that's a great takeaway, and that's a if that would be the only lesson that anyone would learn, that would be the best lesson, I think. Yeah. So that's
Amazing. And
yes,
it's like to go even further, it's like there's also a history. There's a whole history that came before us, each and every one of us. And it's like I think that also plays a role in thinking, it's not just about me. There's all of this knowledge, there's all this experience that other people have, and that things that we did never experienced that I feel that we have to respect as well. Yeah, I don't want to get preachy, but I do believe it.
I get you. And there aren't any real forums right now for that. There will be in the not too distant future. And I know that I will play a role in that myself, because I do feel exactly what you just said. There is a lot to be said about what happened before any of us got into this.
Yeah.
So it is great to be able to jump back and go, oh, this is what happened. That's what happened. And that's why things are happening.
Yeah, we're
And I'm
always
glad that-
learning.
yes, thank you for saying that, because I think that leads to my last question. Well,
Already?
my penultimate question, yes. What is Latin hustle to you? What does it represent? What does it mean to you? Speak on it. Tell us your thoughts about that.
Ooh.
Let's start with Taylor this time.
Yes. Let's go first.
Wow, I don't know. I guess I can say this might be a long answer.
Make it short. Okay.
It's I guess Latin hustle is home, and it's also freedom. The home part I think comes from a community, and yeah, like because I don't have family here in Montreal, so or in in this coast, not close family anyways. So the community is like my second home. Sorry. And then there's the freedom part, which is, I think, comes from, I don't know if you've ever experienced this or if anybody else can relate, but there is this feeling when you dance hustle with somebody, and if you were to imagine the people are wavelengths, or they're vibrating at a certain wavelength. Yeah, like a frequency. And you vibrate at one, your lead vibrates at one, and the music vibrates at one, the room vibrates as one. And at one point, everything is all the same. And I think that's the moment where I feel like I experience true freedom, because it feels like you're so in the moment that nothing else matters. And whatever comes to you comes out. And there's no hiccups. You're not thinking about, am I following right? Or is the signal clear? As you're just flowing in the dance. And I think that part is what I always try and search for in the dance. So yeah, home and freedom.
That's very profound, especially when you spoke about wavelengths and frequencies and everybody getting to that same frequency.
Yeah.
Basically, the connection is so good that, you're all gelling, and that's very profound.
Yeah.
That's a good one. How about you, Julian? What does Latin hustle?
To like just connect with what Taylor said too. It's just like sometimes we felt this a few times, well, quite a few times, where we've danced and we feel like this high. We're like we're high. We're dancing and we can always tell, especially when we're dancing together. We're like, you were high, right? And like yeah, I was. Were you? And it's like, yeah, we always are together because we know that it's a together thing. And I felt it with other people too. And it's like that feeling that Taylor is describing. It's that you're like so in it that it's just like it blows your mind. And that's that feeling that we chase, at least that I chase when I go on the social floor and I dance with people. Something else, what hustle means to me, for me, it's like, oh my God, it's huge. Hustle has played an enormous role in my life in terms of my growth personally, socially, creatively, mentally as well, physically, like in so many aspects. I could call it out, all of them out. It's just like part of me and I love it so much. I'm super passionate. I am about hustle. I'm like obsessed with it.
Yeah.
I am. I think I'm obsessed with it. I think it's a healthy obsession and I try to keep it a healthy obsession because I know how it can get unhealthy. And the one thing is I don't want it to become not fun for me anymore. And as long as it's fun, then I'm going to stick to it. And so far I'm having a blast. I'm still having a blast and I'm hoping to keep having fun. Keep myself in check to make sure that I don't burn myself out on it. But so far I've been pretty good. I have taken some breaks sometimes for myself, and that's important. I think everybody should pay attention to their health in that way. But hustle is for me, hustle is like, it's magic. It's like, it sounds so cheesy, but like I also feel strongly about the potential of hustle. I think that there's like there was like a generational gap. Like we can't ignore that. You know what I mean? Like there is kind of a younger generation and older generation, but like there's a time that happened where hustle kind of, disappeared, where, the whole thing disco went out of style, whatever. And then like now maybe coming back, but like there's a whole period of time that's missing here. And it's like I just feel like that entire period of time is time that hustle did not have a chance to grow or to evolve. And so it's like now we're picking it back up, and it's just as amazing as I'm sure it was in the early 70s, in the 80s. I wasn't there. I can only imagine. We've heard of tons of stories, and we're going to keep looking for more stories because they matter to us because we want to learn from them. But like in terms of the potential, Mike, it's like you don't understand. For me, hustle is like a barrel, and I've only scratched the surface. I'm digging through the barrel, and I don't feel like I need to look anywhere else for my creative outlet right now because I still see so much down there that I need to dig. I can keep digging, and I keep digging, and it's like for me, it's just endless. And I hope that it stays endless because that fuels me and it fuels my passion when I'm trying to like come up with something or express myself in a way that's different and be creative, like have my creative outlet. Then it's like I look at hustle, maybe the structure of it, the history of it, and that inspires me to apply it to my dance. And the last thing I'll say is that it allows me to be myself. I think I'm funny. And so I hope sometimes that I'm funny on the floor.
Yeah. Those are some really good points that you bring up, as far as staying in the game, because there is, there's 50 plus years of hustle. And even though there were some really deep valleys, there are also some really great peaks. And we're probably the great peak right now. This resurgence is awesome, wonderful. And we have so much, collectively, we have so much to contribute to its growth.
Yeah.
Of just my interest alone. So those are wonderful words. I really appreciate you saying that, coming from your perspective. And it's something that I think that a lot of people probably feel as well in one way or another. And thank you so much for your thoughts on that, because it's something that ties us all together, that keeps us all on the same wavelength.
It allows us to connect with people, like, no matter where we come from, what age we are, what gender we identify with. It's so dope. It's so sick. Like, it's magical. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Well, we're pretty much at the end, except for one thing, right? If you have any questions or any last thoughts that you want to say before we say goodbye to our people who are watching. Thoughts?
Well, I'll go first. I guess. Is that okay?
Sure. Yes.
By the time this is out, we'll have Montreal Hustle Club live as a social media handle. It's essentially a community that we're part of the team that kind of represents that and helps run an event as that group. So make sure you follow Montreal Hustle Club. It's going to be on IG, I think, Facebook page, and TikTok. I don't know.
Let me put the link, and I'll try to put it in the.
Yes. Yeah. It's not even like as we're talking, it's not even live, but it will be. It's coming out like next week, but it's coming. So keep your eyes peeled. Follow that and follow us, Julien and Taylor, on social media, YouTube, Facebook, you name it, whatever. So that's like the plug-in. And the last thing I wanted to say, it's like I'm like shifting right now, is that we really, at least I know, I'm very passionate about teaching, and just like I'm a teacher, so my real job, my normal job is I teach English as a second language, but education is something I'm very passionate about. Maybe it rivals my passion with hustle, but putting these things together for me is like really great. It's really awesome that I got the privilege to teach dance. And we really hope that when we get the chance to teach to folks, that we try to, as much as possible, that people can find a way to just like connect with us. And if they can just learn a thing, even if they just remember one thing out of like the thousands of words we might have said, it's like, that's good enough for me. And I will say that we're always we want to help people, and we want people to level up. We want to level up too, and we want other people to level up. And it's like, it drives us. But I will say that we are very privileged for us too, that we have each other. And I know that's a reality that is not true for a lot of people that partner dance, is that they don't technically live with a partner. They don't have a dance partner that is like theirs. And I do realize that this is something that we have. And I do realize that it's something that we can't really help anybody about. We can't make people fall in love, and we can't force people to be dance partners. But we understand, I understand that we're lucky in that regard. And it's something that I don't take for granted. But obviously, my relationship with Taylor, it's intertwined with our hustle journey, and it means a lot to me. But like, our relationship comes first, and it's like we get to dance through it.
I don't really have much to add. Maybe I would say that if there are any OGs watching that I haven't danced with, I would love to dance with you. So if you see me on the social floor, please grab me. I tend to be on the floor a lot. So
wait, now you're discriminating, not just the OGs.
I'm not done. Let me finish talking.
Okay, sorry.
If the OGs,
I apologize.
Please ask me to dance. And if there are any other people, maybe the newer generation, that want to dance with me, also please ask me to dance, because sometimes I get lost on the dance floor and I will forget to ask other people to dance. But yeah, don't be shy. It's basically what I'm saying. Like, we're approachable people, and just come dance.
Yeah, nice. Sometimes we don't have enough time to dance with everybody, and we're sorry about that. But we do want to dance with everybody.
Yeah,
everybody will get their chance one day or another.
Yes.
happen. Well, listen, the two of you, you're such a wonderful couple. I love you guys. I love watching you. I love the things that you've
Thank
done,
you.
the things that you will do. It's exciting that you're growing the community the way you are, and also that you have this opportunity with the Montreal Salsa Convention. That I think is important too, and that you can bring in your local, heads into that room with Jamal, because Jamal's gonna be spending some crazy,
Ooh,
Yep.
you know it.
so it's gonna be a good thing. So with that being said, everybody, please be sure and click like, click subscribe, and click that notification bell so you can know all the things that are happening on N123, particularly Let's Talk Hustle.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Mike.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us. Your work is so important, and we're so happy to be a part of it.
Yeah.
It means a lot to us, and we're not taking it for granted. Thank you so much.
Hey, Mike Bello here in the M123 studio with the Let's Talk Hustle podcast. I want to give a quick shout out to New Circle Films, who were so gracious to sponsor me with product, especially this particular boom arm for the microphone, as well as some lighting. So yeah, it's really helped to give a greater look to the podcast. So thank you, New Circle Films. And of course, the other shout out, tongue in cheek to N123, because the podcast is residing in the N123 channel. So that's it, folks. See you in the next video.